Hi Fundis, you're welcome for yet this another live feedback session where we get to know about what you have done through the week and whether you were able to learn the concepts that we shared through the videos that you watched. Now, I want you to imagine, what if a partner, what if a donor, what if a potential funder for your business asked you to make a presentation so that he can use it to make a decision whether to fund your idea or not? What will you include? What will that be from the little work that you have learned so far? Now, that is what I want you to keep thinking about. How would you want a donor to perceive your idea? How would you want it to be? Now, try to come up with it as a team and practice and start rehearsing with the little that you have known so far from what you have given you. Try to rehearse it and see how it will go. I want to welcome you back from the live feedback section that we had with Dr. Nida on Thursday. Dr. Nida was telling us about the course, about why this project was started, about the benefits that you're going to get at the end of the course. And ideally, if this is the 8th week and you need to pull up, I think he gave a better motivation, which I wouldn't, about how you're going to be beneficiaries from this course, especially for those that are going to get committed and finish it very well and make it among the top 3. Number 1 is that each of you has already qualified for a German certificate. As long as you have about only 9 sessions, you'll have a German certificate. And you will ask me, how will you know whether I've attended a 9 feedback session? But for me, I'll look at the work that you have been submitting. If you have submitted, if your team has submitted at least a minimum of 9 weeks, then I'll be able to give you a certificate. The number 2, the people that are going to make it within, all of you are going to get a chance to be evaluated by, especially for the best 5 ideas, to be evaluated by the top owners of startups within Kenya, but also within Germany and across the world, because we are assembling a team for the final, which is going to be evaluating your ideas, which is going to be looking critically without any biasness, because for them, they have not been hearing you present. So it's going to be fresh. They're going to look at your ideas fresh. They are going to listen to them, and they are going to evaluate you, and they will give you ideas on how to go about it. Now, the people that will make it within the top 3, these are your benefits. 1, you're going to get a chance to be linked to some of the most rigorous, most competitive startups within Kenya and Nairobi specifically. And this is going to be at no cost because we have already entered partnerships with them, just as Dr. Nida said. So what you need to do is just to make sure your idea emerges among the top 3, and then you will get there. When you get there, that means that what we have given, they are going to add on it, and they are going to make sure that your idea now comes alive. Now, number 2, for those that are going to be among the top 3, during our grand finale for this entire project, because this has been a 3-year project and we are going to climax it in October, Dr. Nida said that those that will emerge among the top 3, you're going to get a chance, okay, to go and for the grand finale that is going to be now the overall closure of the project, where the funders for this project are going to be, and also the ambassador of Germany in Kenya and several other stakeholders within Kenya are going to be there. So you ought not to miss. And the only way for you to qualify for that event is when you make it to the top 3. So I want to encourage you now, get serious with your work, do your work very well as a team, and make sure your ideas get a chance among the top 3. Remember at the start I told you that the best, those that stand better chances of, their ideas winning, even funding, are those that have tried to address issues that are affecting the community, issues that are answering the SGDs. But of course, from the time that I've interacted with all your ideas, I know that all your ideas are addressing those issues within the SDGs. So within these remaining weeks, you can get serious, you can pull up your groups, and you can make sure that you present a better concept, a better idea, which can win funding. So that's my plea to you, that you will get serious and do this work, do this startup, and own up your group, own up your business idea, and make sure you emerge among the top so that you get all these benefits that are going to be given out. So, what are we going to talk about today? So today we are going to have feedback from how we performed last week, okay? But as it has been a custom, just trying to review what we covered last week so that we bring ourselves up to speed, so that if you were not able to listen very well to the videos, I can just give an overview, a summary, so that you can be able to understand, but also to bring our question in context for the week. We need to reorient ourselves to what we covered within the videos. Number one, of course, this is just a summary. There are a lot of concepts that Teresa shared within the videos, but I just give a summary of what I felt was quite important. But you also, as you watched, you have your important points that you came up with. So also summarize them and make sure you implement them within your businesses that you're founding. One, we looked at a business plan, and we were tasked to each of us come up with a business plan. Now, these are for your business, because a business plan is that written document that shows, that gives a detailed map of how your business is going to progress. So it has an executive summary, which is usually 1 page, talking about summarizing what specifically your business is all about, the mission, the vision, the purpose, the goals of what your business is. A summary that will enable a funder, when they cannot read all the specifics, that is what is going to attract them to just read, and then they will make a decision of either to fund or not. But also, if you're not writing it for the funders, an executive summary is one that summarizes your entire business concept, and it's the one that gives you a guideship onto what you want to do. Number two, a business plan has a target market. Where do you intend to sell your products? Okay, so that's what target market is. Then it has competitors. Who do you think may contend with you within the business, or which competitors are there? You need to identify them, because when you identify your competitors, you're able to assess their strengths and their weaknesses and capitalize on their strengths and capitalize on their weaknesses, okay, so that you can be able to flourish, okay. But also you can learn a few or 3 things from their strength, and also incorporate it within your work. In Uganda, there is in the bottling companies, we have about 2 which were dominant. We had previously, in about 6 or 8 years, we had Coca-Cola, which is Century Bottling, and we had PepsiCo, which manufactures Peps. But when another brand came up called Reham, it capitalized on the strength that Coca-Cola had and PepsiCo, and that is where they hit the most with their competition, because all the names that these guys had and all the flavors that these guys had, they played with them and they made their own, and so it became as though it is a substitute for those that would not afford the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi. So you can also capitalize on your competitor's strength as well as their weaknesses. You need also to identify the human resources. Which staff do you need? Who do you need on your team in order to make your business successful? So that is the human resource. You also need to identify the suppliers who are going to give you the raw materials that you will need for your business. You need also to come up with a marketing strategy or a marketing plan. How are you going to ensure that people get to know about your ideas that you have, about your product offering that you have? Also, operations, you need to lay down a strategy of how you're going to handle your productions. And you also need to come up with a financial projection. Where do you think your resources are going to come from? and how are you going to expand those finances that you will be having. We also looked at the business canvas, which I think is our assignment. And within the business canvas, we talked about the main points or the main key things that make a business canvas. Okay, a business canvas is your plan of how your business is going to roll out. And we say that within the business canvas, you will look at the partners. Okay, strategic partners are those people that you think entering a relationship with them will enable you to leverage onto the to gain a leverage over your competitors. Okay, or they will give you a competitive edge. Let's say you are designing an application, like one of the groups that is doing. You're designing an application that is going to help people to identify the right parking space. So who will be your key strategic partner? Now, I believe that your key strategic partner will be, one, the people that have parking spaces available to them and they can be able to give it easily to you to work with them so that you share the profits that will come out. Okay, and some of them could be within the municipality, because the municipality or the city council is the one that is mandated to collect revenue through parking, if that is one of their streams. So what you will do is that you will tell them about the app that you have, and you tell them that when the money comes in, you will give them a certain percentage, and then you remain with a certain percentage. Another key strategic partner would be, let's say, Uber. Uber, as an application, helps riders to identify customers who want hire, special car to take them anywhere where they want. But how do they become strategic partners? It's because if at a particular hour my car is not working, I don't have any customer online, where do I park this car as I wait for a customer? So that's where your application now comes in, and you're using Uber as a strategic partner, because you will now work with Uber and probably give a subsidy to the subscribers of Uber, that every Uber client that uses your application has a bit of reduction, in order for you now to make sure that you make more profits by leveraging on that already existing clientele. Okay, so that's how strategic partners work. Key activities are the things that you do on a daily that are responsible for your business continuity. Then key resources are all the things that you will require for your business to run. Okay, you can talk about the HR resources, you can talk about the fixed assets, you can talk about the financial, talk about everything that you will need for your business to prosper. Cost structure, these are the costs that you will need in order to operate your business. Value proposition, this is how you're going to create value for the customers that you have. Then customer relationship, businesses thrive on customers. Okay, and customer, as you have heard, is in business is treated as the king, because without a customer you cannot make the sales that you need. So how are you going to ensure that you have a good relationship with your customer? You need also to come up with it. For example, if a customer has a grievance, how is the grievance going to be sorted? That's what customer relationship is all about. Then we have customer segments. Which segments of customers are you going to target with which particular product? This now brings in the aspect of studying the demographic factors of your customers and getting to know their likes and preferences, and designing a product that specifically suits that particular kind of customer groups. Okay, so let's say your interest is in snacks. Let me use Joyfy now, snacks. And for them, in the first place, they had defined themselves as those that are going to target the youths. Okay, because they believe that the youths will consume junk, not just once, not twice in a week, but in one day they may consume snacks like 4 times. Okay, somebody can come and buy and then go back. His friends or her friends come and then they come again and buy and then they go back. And so that is where they are targeting. Okay, so what interests the youth? Now that is what customer segment means. So you tailor suit your snacks to meet their needs, so that every time when they want a snack, they will come to Joyfy. Channels of distribution, this is how you're going to make sure that your product reaches the final consumer. Okay, so you need to explore that. We have already talked about channels of delivery in the previous work, and also revenue streams. How are you going to ensure that you get money that is going to fund your project that you have, your business continuity? That's what revenue streams talks about. How are you going to ensure that you generate money in order for your business to survive? Okay, so that's what it talks about. We also talked about goals. And we said that most of the times when you're coming up with the value proposition and then you have launched, you have started operations, most of the times conflicts may arise, and these conflicts usually come when you have aimed at a specific goal and you have failed to achieve it. That is when the blame game starts to come. You're the one who let us down. Maybe it's a particular department, maybe it's a particular individual. So when the blame game starts to come up, you know that the business is about to collapse. Okay, because businesses thrive when there is harmony, when there is synergy, when there is support for one another. Okay, and consequences of missing goals, we talked about them. Okay, that one, it will cause misunderstandings. You will not be able to work together. It will cause desperation. Okay, counter accusations and angers and emotions start to boil up, and then it will cause inefficacy. Okay, that people will now start feeling like, I'm not worthy. It is me who was the cause, because of the blame game that usually comes. But how do we handle missing goals? Okay, how do we handle missing goals that we have aimed at? One, you need to make sure that you use SMART as an acronym when you're setting your goals. Okay, remember this, we talked about this in the videos, that SMART means specific, M means measurable, A means attainable, R means relevant or realistic, and then T means time bound. Okay, now with a SMART, it doesn't mean that you're going to force, okay, you're going to get a particular objective and then you start breaking it down, that this is what in specific shall be, this is what in measurable shall be, this is what in attainable shall be. No, set the objective, but in setting that objective, have this in mind. Is this goal specific? Specific means that if, let's say, I want to increase sales, it should be talking about increment in sales. That's what specific means, and not anything else. In measurable, when you're stating, how will I know that I have achieved the increase in sales? Now that is now the measurability of it. Maybe you can say, I will increase sales by, then you give a certain percentage. We will increase our sales by 80%, by 50%. Now that is the measurability, where it comes from. Attainable means that this goal can be, if you look at it, we can be able to attain it. Okay, some people say that you have to state goals that will scare you. You do not dream small, but it's important for you as you dream to get to know what you can be able to achieve, as opposed to just stating. Because if you give goals that cannot be attained, it is also another source of demotivation, because workers may not easily understand what you're really aiming at. Relevant, which is the R, it means that it should be specifically, or realistic, should be specifically relevant to the scope that you are dealing with, the nature of your business. And it should be realistic. We should, it should be fitting within the strength of your workers, but also the strength of your resources that you have. That's what relevancy or that's what relevancy talks about, okay, or realistic. Then time bound means that you should put a specific time frame within which that goal is going to be achieved. If you do not put a time lag, it means that it can be achieved anywhere at any time. Let's say you want to increase sales by 50%, but you don't put the time limit, maybe 2 years or 3 years. Okay, it means that you give a leeway of even workers saying that we can be able to achieve this particular goal in 60 years. Okay, so there must be a time bound, a time frame within which a specific goal can be achieved. So that's what SMART talks about. Okay, that when you're setting a goal, you must have common features within your head, within your mind, when you're stating it as a group. And it could be, you could have 4 objectives for your organization, but all of them should be stated in a smarter way, okay? Meaning that we should see that goals as specific, we should be able to measure it, it should be attainable, it should be relevant or realistic, and it should have a time frame within which it should be achieved. That's what SMART is all about. So that's what we covered last week, and of course the last video was about how to work within teams and how to solve conflicts that may come about when working in teams. And we talked about the accommodative, avoidance, okay? We talked about the compromise. So we talked about those scenarios, and I hope you can watch the 5th video and be able to resolve conflicts that may be able to arise as you work as a team, because conflicts most times are unavoidable, but when they come, okay, meaning that when I am using the word when, because I know that at a particular time a conflict will arise, but when it arises, how will you be able to solve it? You can use any of those strategies that we provided in the 5th video to be able to resolve them. Now, for last week, these were the tasks that we had. You were supposed to meet in your teams and write a business model canvas for your business idea, and you were supposed to be as concrete as possible. Okay. Remember, we talked about, when we talked about the business canvas, we gave all those key points, okay, the costs, the revenues, okay, the channel of transportation, the key resources that you need, the key partnerships that you need. So those are the things that we asked you to do. And we also asked you to analyze your business model canvas using SMART, okay? That for what you are aiming at, okay, it should fit within the SMART acronym. SMART we meant, okay, specific. The goals that you're stating for your canvas, they should be specific, measurable, achievable, attainable, realistic or relevant, and then time bound. That was the expectation from last week. And maybe due to the fact of exams, some of you are not submitting your work. I would encourage you that please submit your work. And some of you have started doing work which I think may not give you good grades, which is not really a good thing on my side. So I'm suggesting that you really need to pull up. You really need to pull up and do some good work, because you know that these now have a big implication, especially on the finals. That you wouldn't want to be among the people that are not, whose idea is not going to be featured, whose idea is not going to be evaluated, who will not get a chance to benefit from the connections to the several incubation centers, incubation hubs, that your idea can be matured, that your idea can be farmed up to when you realize your major goals as to why you've entered the business. And you wouldn't want to be among those that will miss out on the finals. It is going to really be a massive thing in October when this project is finally being closed. So, Team 1, you have not yet still responded positively. I wonder what is happening. I would like to really find out what's happening, because you submitted in week 1, I think, and week 2, but ever since then I have not seen anything else from Team 1. So I really demand to know what's happening, because I believe that you can still pull up even within this little time that we have. Your idea was really good, so you need to meet up and give me a report of what is really happening. Joyful Entrepreneurs, which is our Team 2, in your business canvas, I'm only going to focus on parts which I have highlighted. On my left, which is your left also, is the business canvas, or it is your work and your notes. Then on my right are comments that have written to specifically address issues that have seen worthy of being addressed within your canvas. But overall, I find your work really good. You just need to continue working like that, pay attention to the corrections, and then move forward to session 8, which we already uploaded on Thursday, given the exam period which you're in, so that within your free time, probably over the weekend or on Sunday like today, you can still be able to do the work and you can do the submission. In Business Canvas, you say that you need to be selective in determining the resourceful partners. And my comment is that at this stage, you should be able to define for us these partners and how they are going to be of relevancy. My example to you, due to your business idea, Joyful, partners can be suppliers, so you define who those suppliers are going to be. For example, wheat factories, since you're going to be dealing in snacks, and we know that snacks are usually made, majority of them are made out of wheat. So probably you can make partnerships with wheat factories that are producing wheat, that they will supply you at a lower rate. Okay. You can also enter partnerships with probably supermarkets, that part of what because it can also speed up in marketing your products. Okay. Apart from you having a store where you sell, okay, a cafe where you sell your eats, where you invite people, the youth, to come and buy from you, your products can also go to the supermarkets. Okay. Or you can enter partnerships with schools, that they will give you a kind of managing their canteens, okay, that you populate them with drinks, with this kind of snacks that you're thinking about. So that is how a partnership would look like. In the segment of customers, you say that you will identify what products to produce at a certain time. And I would really recommend that you already identified your target group, explore on how to fix their needs. Okay, let your supply to these particular youths not be dependent on a certain time. But as you said in your unique selling point last week, that every time you'll be coming up with something new, already you have defined your customer needs, that these are youths, so they will always be longing to have something new, a new snack, at least every month or at least every week. I don't know how you're going to do it, but at least something really very new. So that should ideally be, the way of targeting your segmented customers, that you provide them with a unique thing which is going to make sure that it stays them put for the particular offering that you're having. So that's what I think. But if you say at a certain time, what if it's a bad season? according to you. So what is the yardstick that you're going to use, okay, to know that now this time they need to eat this or they need to eat this? So ideally, I would think that instead of you being subjective, be objective and saying, at least if we give a new snack, people are going to come because they want to enjoy the new snack that we are providing. Also, you talked about the value proposition, proposition of the business through enabling any kind of payment which is secure and reliable. And this is my comment about that. I say that value has more to do with creating utility and not setting price or accepting any price. In any case, accepting any price will curtail your business growth. At this stage, I would think have fixed prices. Let your prices not vary. Okay, if you say that you're going to produce, let's say, crisps, and it's part of what you're going to offer, and you have put a crisp at a pack of crisps at 2,000. Okay, that is Ugandan money. But let's say you have put it at 50 Kenyan shilling. 50 Kenyan shilling. I do not expect you, okay, 50 Kenyan shillings, or we can say 100 Kenyan shillings. I do not expect you again, okay, to keep alternating the price. That today somebody will come and buy it at 100, then tomorrow they find it at 200, then the other day they find it at 50. No, it shouldn't be like that. Instead, the value proposition is that how are you going to ensure that when the customers eat your products, they're going to find satisfaction within them, that they will be able to come back again. Now, that is how you have created value. So that's what you should be thinking about when it comes to the value proposition segment. You have also talked about the channel of distribution, and you said social media and word of mouth. Yes, these are good channels of distribution, which I said, and you need to be more structured in categorizing them. Okay, what are you going to use social media for? Because you cannot use social media to let's say give at that particular time food, okay, or junks. But in channels of reaching your target market, you also need to be structured in what is social media going to help me, what is word of mouth going to help me, is there any other way I can explore to deliver food to deliver food to the customers that may not be able to come physically to our stores to buy. So you need to explore all those particular things as you come up with your channels of distribution. You also said in the customer relationship that you will be providing secure and legit services and brand your products as you sell them to gain trust. I think this is a good idea, especially creating a brand, because your customers would want to associate with your brand. But you can also go beyond branding. For example, you can talk about after sales, okay, because you now want to win the customers. Okay, that's what customer relationship talks about. Okay, and then can you also talk about you giving offers? Okay, after sales is different from offers, but you can also talk about issues like how are you going to handle customers' suggestions and complaints. That's also part of how you can be able to build a good relationship with your customers. And then the last position about problem solving, I find it very nice and very interesting. Group 2, still on your SMART goals. I have found these as great things that can be used, maybe great rules or great procedures that are outlaid for housekeeping yourselves in order to make sure that, as a team of brothers, maybe of sisters, that is going to make sure that, you have a stable clientele. But they are not specific, they are not smart, okay? You have not stated them using a SMART kind of model. And I've given you an example here that, for example, you can say to obtain a stable clientele of 500 customers within our first year of operation. Okay. One, it is specific. You're targeting clientele. You want to get clientele. Measurable, 500 customers. The moment you reach 500 customers, then you know that we have achieved our goal. The A for attainable or achievable, you see that this is achievable. Within a year, man, this you guys can be able to do. Just raising 500 customers who are committed to us. You can even divide it and say per month, because the year is made up of 367 there days. So that means that in averagely, on a day you're getting 2 clients that you're convincing to make sure that they buy your product. And I know that you guys can be able to do it. 2 clients every day, and then you can be able to reach the 500 target. Okay. Then realistic, yeah, this is real, this is realistic, this is reachable. Okay, you can be able to obtain this. And then the T, you have already said that within the first year. So after the first year, you're going to come and sit down and evaluate yourselves and see if that particular objective, you have achieved it. You can either, there are 3 ways, there are 3 outcomes of setting a goal. 1, you can achieve your goal. 2, you can surpass your goal. And then number 3, you can fail to obtain your goal. In failing to obtain means that instead of getting 500 clients when you're evaluating now, after the 1 year, you have maybe got 300. You have not obtained your goal. Achieving your goal means that you have got the 500 clients, or you have got 501 or 502. Surpassing your goal means that you have got 500 and you have even got more people, like another 500 to make it 1,000. Or you can even get 2,000. So that is surpassing the goal. But you all do that within the time frame that you've given yourself, which is 1 year, when you come back and sit together and we say, now let's see how we have performed on this objective. So that is it. That's how I can recommend. Then state at least 4 objectives and subject them to the SMART tool. That's my recommendation. Group 2, so thank you for your work. And still I don't have the groups that are from group 3 up to group 5. I don't have your work. I have group 6, visionaries, Karafundi visionaries. Okay. In the key partners, you talked about 3. You talked about money processors, you talked about government, you talked about Nairobi Metropolitan Services. As you will see my comment, you need in partnerships, you need to establish strategic partnerships, which you enter because you want to favor your interests, because you want to gain, because you want to protect your interests. That's what partnerships mean. Now, government, unless maybe when you're saying that government is going to give me a loan, okay, which I'm going to repay slowly, that's when you enter a partnership and you give them a portion of your share. That could be a partnership. Or money processors, maybe you can say that they will be giving you or your clients loans at a specific price. Okay, maybe you enter it for the sake of your suppliers, or you enter it for the sake of you. Maybe you want to buy property, and then you promise them a seat on the table. That's when it can become a partnership. But them, if they have dealings, maybe issues of regulation or issues where you're just going to get a service from them without you directly benefiting from them, then that's not a partnership. Okay? In Nairobi Metropolitan Services, that could be a partnership if they are the ones that are managing the parking lots, and you go to them and you enter partnership, but they give you, they outsource that activity to you, and then you give them, you remit certain monies to them when you have collected. Now that becomes a partnership because there is an agreement that is binding you. In partnerships, there must be an agreement that binds both of you. Some of them are gentlemen's partnerships or agreements where you do not write anything, but you mutually hold each other psychologically, or it could be a written partnership, okay, that you have things spelled out on a paper and everybody knows their expectations out of that partnerships. Now I want to give you an example of a relationship. Some of you could be having girlfriends or boyfriends. Now a partnership means one that is psychological, one that is not written down, means that, you know, it becomes a psychological feeling that if you found that girl or boy with somebody else, you'll feel they are breaching the agreement that you made, the two of you. You do not have written agreement that we should do this, but there are certain things that you expect, that even when you call and you ask, where are you? Okay? They will respond to you as though you have a written agreement about knowing an account of everywhere where they're supposed to be. Now, when you take it a step higher and now get married, you now sign a document, okay? Because now this has serious implications. In a relationship which has not yet matured into marriage, you can break certain rules and then there are not serious consequences, but now when you sign a paper, it means that the consequences are going to be serious. But also you know that in the partnerships, both of you are keeping each other accountable and also you're benefiting from each other. Now that is how partnerships are, even with businesses. That there are those that you will enter by mutual consent without writing on a paper, but there are those that you will enter on paper. Now all those partnerships, there must be a mutual benefit for all of you, not one regulating, not one setting rules and for you have to follow. Now that ceases to be a partnership. So my suggestions would be, for example, Uber, and I have told you this last time when you consulted me, that for example, you can say that for Uber, what we are going to be doing is that, you know, for every you will tell them that for every person who downloads your app, especially the Uber drivers, your app should also accompany the download for that Uber app, so that in case they would want to park as they wait for clients, they can just enter your app. They can just use your application to access parking, which is secure and safe. Now that you have entered the partnership, because Uber is going to help you with the cars, the drivers, but you're going to help them with the parking. So in the end, both of you are benefiting. Now that is a partnership. That's how it works. So that's how I would want you to reason and to approach your work. Okay? And I've said that great exploration of your activities. But are these some activities? Are these activities, can they continue on? Can they, run on a continual basis? Because that's what we want to see here when we come to key activities. What are those things that run on a daily that you need to pay attention to? That's what key activities are. So I would want you to explore more of your key activities. In the key resources, you talked about needing security agencies. That is good. You also talked about the pricing system, okay, which is also fairly okay. But I felt that you guys, you did not do an extensive work in exploring these kinds of resources that your organization might need, okay? So I'm saying that beautiful resources to start with. So now you dig deeper into your key resources that you will need, okay? For example, will you only need security agencies as the functional human resource? Okay, how about somebody who is going to be handling the pay? How about would you need structures like buildings? So those are all the different things that you need to explore under resources and know what exactly you will need. In the value proposition, this is what you say, which I think is really good, that your application is going to enable the customers to reserve parking on demand, that is several hours or days before the parking. Okay, that is really good, that here I will feel secure that I can reserve my parking and then it remains, and I know that at this particular hour I find my parking. Okay, you have also said that customers may also park their vehicles immediately. Now this is creating value because I can decide to book earlier, or I can book immediately and then I access parking. So customer feels satisfied. The value proposition is all about creating satisfaction for the customer with the services that you're giving. So that is beautiful. I liked it. When it came to business, to channels, okay, I find it is nice. We've discussed the channels very well. Customer relationships, you have seen that one in red, and I wrote a comment that delete that. Okay, but this is also my observation that customer data storage is very great. Under customer relationships, also provide a channel of receiving customer feedback and handling complaints. Okay, how are you going to receive feedback? Okay, you've seen applications like maybe let's say Uber. After a ride, they will ask you to rate the driver or rate the trip. Now there you're creating a relationship with the customer because you have given them chance to say about how they have found the trip, and they will feel listened to. So that is how you should be thinking when it comes to customer relationships. Okay, that there are ways how you can be able to keep the customer in relationship with even when you're not physically there. Like everybody would want to be listened to. So if they feel that you listen to them, then I think they will be able to stay with you. Then customer segment, I think you defined it very, very well. We will not go through that. The cost structure, it's a nice analysis of the cost structure. You showed us what you will need to spend on, which is essentially very good. And then the revenue stream, I think here is where I would say that I advise that you would also write to potential startup funders. Your business idea is very big to be sustained by only revenues from the app. Okay, so you can now start writing as part of your revenue stream. You can also talk about potential funders for your business. That's what I think you should. In the SMART goal, I think this was really very good, a great example of SMART goal for the start. Now develop goals which are specifically addressing your vision. Okay, that's what my task is. The goal that you stated, I think, was just an example to show how you have learned that probably in the next 6 months you're going to be looking for people that will be able to fund your business. Okay, that you will share your prototype with them. But now with the SMART goals, I would want you to look at imagine your before funders, and I've asked you to share with them the goals for your business, what you're aiming at in maybe the next 2 years if you'd be given an opportunity. So ideally, that's how you should be thinking. Okay, when you come up with your goals, with the vision that you made, that you created, which we critiqued last time, okay, of becoming the one-stop, the choice of customers when it comes to parking. Now, the goals are how are you going to be able to attain that? Now, those are the goals. Now, come up with them and then package them nicely that if I am an investor and you're sharing with me your prototype and you would want me to fund it, it will be easy for me to make a decision on funding. That's how you should package it. And this was a great example because, as you can see, they managed to do what others are not doing, of even categorizing what they have been talking about in summary. Group 11, these are my comments from your work. It will be nice for you to share those amazing achievements in your group with the facilitator, because I feel that you kept your ideas to yourselves. You've just let me know that you came up with the ideas, but I don't know which ideas those are. So if it doesn't cost you, you can still resubmit and then we look at it. With the current structure of your work, I am not able to guide you onto the right way. So please provide an elaborate work. Group 17, in a value proposition, you say that you will solve the problem of mental health. That's a great value to the customer. That if I come with mental health issues, you can be able to fix them. But if I'm to remember, you're looking at selling medicine using online services. That's what you're doing. And I don't know how this turns out to solve mental issues when you're selling medicine online. But anyway, if your focus is changing, then I like what you're talking about with the mental health, that somebody should be able to receive mental resilience. You are also saying that your customer segment are going to be youth, adults, and children who experience mental health. So that is also well defined. So I think essentially, instead of using telemedicine, you should look at something more to do with mental health. You should look at, how are you provision of services that that are aimed at helping people who have mental issues to get mental health, maybe stress, maybe depression, maybe somebody is battling autism. Okay, those strange diseases that affect our brains, affect our emotions, affect our minds. I think that is what your focus is now changing to, because telemedicine, from your very first concepts that you had in mind, was coming up with an application that sells medicine online, that can be able to give your customers, the patients, easy access to medicine. That's what you had in mind. But now I see that you're changing to mental health, and the two are not the same. Mental health is specifically different from the medicine that you wanted. So you need to now change even the naming of your product. That's how business is, that sometimes as you critique yourselves, as you subject your mind to thinking, you'll come up with even new and strange things that you never thought about. I think that we covered it in the previous videos that we had. So you now need to change the name from telemedicine to something else that is related to mental health. I think that is what now you're doing. The channel of distribution, you say you agreed on telephone or mobile and online communication with your patients. And ideally, I think if it is an application, the interaction should be different, not by calling, because you don't have control over it. Unless, as I am saying, that you're changing your mode and now you're saying that you're going to give maybe mental therapies, that's when the calling will come in and then the interaction through the app. Okay, and also your application needs to be designed in such a way that it enables people to open up, to feel that they are speaking to somebody, not a computer, not a pre-programmed response. So you need to make it more interactive. Customer relationship, confidentiality is a good point. That's what you bring about here in your customer relation. How will you ensure that customers are supplied for the needs of the medicine? Okay, that should be the gist. If you're looking at medicine, if you're looking at mental health, you should look at how the customers are able to trust you people in the mental health that you're giving them, that when they choose you, or when they choose you, they will still feel better, they will feel relieved, they will feel that they have got responses to their heart's problems. Revenue stream, you say that there will be deposits for services delivered, and I think this is great but not sufficient. Explore more sources of revenues, because this idea too is also big, like the one of visionaries. You still talked about the key resources. Apart from human resources, are there any other resources that you need under resources? So you explore all of them and come up with them and categorize them. In key activities, okay, mental health is the overall goal, the overall objective. It is the overall picture of what you're doing. Now that, for now, it's the main activity. Now, what are those sub-activities that you're going to be doing on a continual basis that are going to make sure that you achieve the goal of solving people's mental problems? Now, that is what you should be putting in mental health. That's what I would recommend you to do, and that's what I really need you to do. In key partnerships, you talked about a joint venture. A joint venture is really something different. It's not according to how you're approaching it, and partnerships don't have to necessarily be a joint venture. And if you say joint venture with mental health practitioners, then there, it becomes a bit disturbing, okay? And this is what I think. Your idea shouldn't be a joint venture. This is something different. Partnerships mean the strategic contributors to your project, success, who are not competitors. Okay, that's what key partnerships or partnerships mean. With the health practitioners, you also need to even actually define who they are in partnership. Okay, where are they located? Who are those specific ones? Okay, if probably, let's say you know that for you, you're going to just become a conduit. Okay, a conduit meaning that you're just going to become a means of people who have mental health problems reaching out to finding somebody who can offer them the right therapy. If that is what you're targeting, then what I think is, in this case, that yes, you can enter partnerships with mental health professionals, but you need to define who they are in key partnerships, because there are very many. You won't go for all of them, but maybe you have 5 or 6 firms that okay, organizations that that offer mental therapy, and then you're saying that those are the ones that you are going to focus on. So that's what ideally I would recommend you to do. And cost structure, I think you should expound how variable costs work for a better understanding, because you just said variable costs, and I may not know what you mean unless you tell me, so that then I can be able to guide. Lastly, when you talked about the goals, you defined them, but this is what I think for a better understanding of what SMART is. Okay, you need to provide it. Then SMART is a tool used in developing business goals. Its use means that the goals must be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. The goal that you have stated, okay? Not a breakdown like you've been doing. And an example would be for your particular group to reach 2,000 downloads, subscriptions, and usage of our telemedicine application within 1 year, okay? So if you think that you can be able to achieve 2,000 downloads, that 2,000 people have downloaded your application for telemedicine, and people have subscribed to maybe your YouTube channel or your website, or you have got another means that you have designed where people can subscribe, okay, and use it, okay. So that becomes now a SMART goal, because you know that you're looking at subscriptions, downloads, and usage of your telemedicine that is now specific. We're looking at 2,000 of them. That is measurable, you can measure it. And then you now start to ask, is 2,000 achievable? If it's achievable, yes. Is it realistic? If it's realistic, you tick. Then, time bound, within 1 year, we should be able to achieve it. That becomes really excellent. So that's how I would want you to really approach your work. Now, having said that, I received only 4 groups out of the 22 groups that we are. I understand the pressure for exams that you are in, but also let's interact. If you feel that we need to postpone, to put a pause to our next sessions to allow you to do exams, let me have that feedback. But if not, I expect you to work. What I have done is to make it flexible, that I am going to be opening up the courses, the videos that we are going to be doing for the week quite early, so that you can be able to watch them in your free time and then meet and then deliver work. Ideally, I would think that we should be able to shoot for our 11 weeks, finish very well. Now this is week 7 is done, week 8 has started running, and then after week 8 we shall go to week 9 before we realize we have finished. And we will have our grand finale, and then each of us will be rewarded. And we also allow you to now, especially those that will be the best 3, we allow you to work and polish on your business ideas very well, and you prepare to say something in the grand finale in October. I want to thank you so much for watching us for this feedback session. I want to say that you go immediately and listen to those videos that we have already uploaded for session 8 and submit by Saturday 6 p.m. I think that is enough time from Thursday last week. And I expect each of you, all the 22 groups, to submit your work. If you have problems, please reach out to me, and then we see how we can be able to solve them. Okay? Otherwise, thank you so much, and I wish you a blessed Sunday.